Well, hello everybody. My name is Alyssa, if y'all don't know that yet, and I am a tarot reader. I'm also a psychic channeler. I get a lot of messages from spirit through meditation that I like to write down, or I'll get at least intuitive insights and start writing from there. So the topic today is the difference between spirituality and New Age spirituality, and not really like pros and cons, just kind of you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. So anyway, I'm going to talk about that. I did write a whole thing. I might read off some notes. But mainly it's because a lot of people will think of spirituality as crystals and sage and healing and things like that. And it is, and it's beautiful. But spirituality goes just a bit deeper than that, and I'll explain in a bit here. But let's start with, reading through my notes here, I think that spirituality is very beautiful, and it's all about freeing your mind and cleaning out these self-harming belief systems that we've accumulated from, family members growing up, society, mainstream ideals of what you should be doing with your life, how you should act in society, and things like that. And it's really breaking free from these mindsets and this training of the brain, if you will, and just dissecting that and finding your own truth and living your life in according to that, like finding your authentic life and connection and meaning. So it's very much about pulling apart the trauma and finding healing within yourself and raising your vibration. So raising your vibration is very much like elevating your emotions or your emotional state or your quality of life, or it requires that as well. So what I mean by that is you could spend time going out drinking with your friends and just, or doing things that, seem really fun in the moment, but you don't always feel the best in the long term throughout your life. Whereas to raise your vibration is to do things that are of natural wellness that make you feel better. So things like, meditating or going for runs or doing whatever understanding who you are and what you need and doing what makes you feel good inside, right? And certain crystals can help with that. So for example, if you're wanting more love into your life and more self-love, meditating with a rose quartz crystal and focusing on loving yourself is a very, very useful way to bring about more self-love and love in general. And it absolutely raises your vibration. Eating a healthy diet can raise your vibration because when your body feels good, you feel good. Things like that, right? Now with New Age spirituality, it does talk about that, but it's so specifically with healing and growth and transformation. So it's such a beautiful, powerful thing, and it oftentimes people will either learn how to read tarot or go and get psychic readings and tarot readings for guidance through their spiritual healing journey and understanding that there's more to life than what they've thought. And it's very beautiful. Or they'll go and get Reiki to heal the energy body from previous things because, energy from emotions can get pooled up in our body. So it's very helpful to get that cleaned out. Now, I love all of these things about New Age spirituality. And I do think along with that, if you're on that journey, shadow work is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely so important because, and a lot of people in the New Age spiritual community, up until recently, it's not really been a thing, shadow work, because we believe through manifestation, negative thoughts only grow, because the universe works on inclusion. So if we only have positive thoughts, only positive things will happen. Well, this mindset is actually very damaging because if you're trying to grow and heal and become an empowered individual and love yourself, well, you have to address the pain that's still lingering. So that's something that's very recent now in New Age spirituality, is understanding where these negative emotions came from in the first place. How were you treated when you were younger that influenced your perception on the world, on other people, or on yourself, right? Because when you're a child and you're a baby, that's where you start to learn the most. And so if you're crying in a crib and, maybe mom's just vacuuming or she doesn't hear you, right? She's busy. You as a child are going to see that as, oh my God, no one's here for me. My needs aren't being met. So you start, and it is little things like that, right? You could have the best parents ever, but little things like that, and just how you have perceived that because you don't understand why your mom's not coming to your call, right? So you don't feel like anyone's there for you. So you start to grow up not feeling worthy, or you start to grow up having abandonment issues. And it's little things like that can really influence your emotional state. And you could be trained as well. Like if you can be trained how to work at McDonald's, your brain can absolutely be trained to produce more cortisol or to worry too much about situations or anything like that. Our brains are adaptable. They learn and they change, and they learn how, when people say depression, is a chemical thing, or some people are chemically depressed and they can't, it's because their brain produces more cortisol. It's because what you've been through in your childhood, with all this trauma, your brain has learned over time, your brain has learned to produce more cortisol. So, for example, I grew up with very unpredictable family life. There was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of partying, there was a lot of love, absolutely, but there was a lot of unpredictability and a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety and stress going on in my family. So it programmed. So even though I faced my own traumas and not feeling good, but I was also feeding off I was also being trained by the people around me to feel anxious about things. So my brain over time starts to naturally produce more and more cortisol. So now it's a chemical thing in my brain. So never feel that you are helpless to these things that you're just going to have to keep spending hundreds of dollars on medication. And yes, you might need medication with depression and severe mental health issues. You might need these things. However, it's the same with new age stuff. You might need crystals for a time, a certain crystal to help with anxiety or stress, or certain, smudging and sage, or you might need medication or counseling. But to feel good and to heal is a package deal. You just taking a pill and not making lifestyle changes or getting to the root problem of why you're depressed or anxious, that's just not going to help. It's not going to be enough to heal the problem. And most mental health issues actually come from childhood trauma and how you start to view the world and yourself. And your brain learns to produce these chemicals, cortisol chemicals. So absolutely, if you're someone who's depressed and you're taking medication, maybe you need it, yes. But what else are you doing for yourself to heal and feel better? And this goes with New Age spirituality. You can have all the crystals that work against anxiety that you could ever have, or depression, all the uplifting crystals, all that psychic development crystals to better connect with spirit. You could have all of it. You can get all the guidance from tarot, from spiritual teachers. You can get all the guidance from counselors, whatever it looks like. But the main thing that is going to change within you, or really heal yourself, or really find a deeper meaning with life, is when you actively do it for yourself. And it's amazing to see when you make those changes and you go out and seek guidance and counseling, but to an extent, because at some point you're going to just have to do the work, regardless of how much guidance you think you need. So, for example, I knew a woman who, I worked at her crystal store for a while. I was doing professional tarot readings, and she was just a wounded individual, and, my heart goes out to her. She's been through a lot in her life. She's had a narcissistic mother. And dealing with narcissistic parents is probably, it's a very painful thing to go through and to heal from. But she would keep asking for a tarot reading for a specific situation. Will anything just get better for me? Will anything get better? Every time I laid out the cards for her, and this was almost every time, I swear this was every time I was in the store and we had downtime, she would ask me for a reading. Every time I lay down the cards, they literally spoke, look within, bring self-love into the situation. Maybe you need to reevaluate some choices you're making in your life. Stop looking for external validation and stop carrying, healing trauma with family members. It was so specific and it was so consistent. And, she just kept wanting the answers, but not doing the work. And that's part of the problem. And this goes not just with New Age spirituality, but also with, I'll just take medication for this and that without getting to the root cause of it. Spirituality and the physical world is one. They're just two sides of a coin. Okay. So if I'm talking about, society ways, we might have for some reason some serious health issues or some mental health issues. And if we're just taking pills for this without really looking in and changing the way we're eating and changing our mental health state and doing, looking within and understanding the root cause of the depression or the root cause of why you have this physical ailment, because diet and mental health are the two things that put you on a very unhealthy track fast. We oftentimes look for answers or quick solutions, such as crystals or more guidance or more tarot readings. And nothing will ever change unless you actually put in the work for yourself. So things would change for her if I don't know I haven't worked with her in a couple of years now, but for example, if she'd had just listened to the first reading and she had actively tried to do things for herself, and actively sat with herself and said, hey, what's going on? Why do I keep feeling this way? And where did this originate? And what do I need? What is this negative emotion inside of me telling me that I need and out of life? Because these negative emotions, they linger and they stay around, and no medication and no crystal could fully stop them until you address why they're there, because negative emotions are a silent voice from your inner being saying, hey, something's out of alignment. Something's not right here. And oftentimes, there's no guidance in the world, no external thing that could fix that for you. You have to stop and you have to listen to that inner voice. Listen to your inner child and see what she or he really needs in there. What is that inner being, inner child, that sad voice trying to tell you? What does it need? Does it need more love? Does it need better quality relationships? Does it need to stop listening to his or her parents and stop getting that degree that they don't really want and instead focus on their passions and hobbies? There's so many, this negative voice inside you is calling out for something. Oftentimes when I get it, I'm giving away too much energy, or I'm spending too much time doing things that aren't the best for me. So I'll start to feel drained and I'll start to feel really not good. And, there's no point in getting a tarot reading at that point or having a crystal for energy. There's that feeling, and that feeling is there. So I need to stop, and I need to converse with it and see why it's there. Oh, I feel drained because I've been spending too much time with people that aren't the best for me, or I've been partying too much, and it's not good for me. And I could tell because my mood is lower. So oftentimes for me, I will just lie on my bed in the silence and allow whatever needs to come up. And sometimes I'll cry, and maybe you don't even have to understand why you're crying. Let your emotions flow out of you. Just let them be and give them love and acceptance. Be like, hey, I'm here for you. You're free to express yourself. Say this to yourself. And, let them be. And for me, when I do this, it all comes out. And oftentimes I do come up with some answers. And even if you don't, because sometimes I don't, I'll just have a cry and I'll be like, okay, well, because I know myself now, I figure it's probably because I've overextended my energy because I am an empath. And sometimes I get caught up in too much going on. Then that's a sign I need to step back, find stillness, reconnect, see what I need and go from there. So maybe it's a nice bubble bath, or maybe it's to just sit and do your hobby or your passions by yourself. Or maybe it's to have coffee with a good friend that really uplifts you and makes you feel good inside. Your negative emotions are literally indicators that something's off track and that you can make changes from there, right? Now, they're also from programming growing up too. So I've really dug into the fact that, I've been anxious and depressed my whole life. And I've been really, through shadow work and paying attention to it, I've understood a lot of where it's originally come from. And and through that and through healing and manifestation, I'm now living a life where I'm not surrounded by crazy amounts of stress and dysfunction, but yet I still sometimes feel anxious for no reason at all. And it's because my mind is so used to finding things to worry about. So I'll talk to myself about that. I'm like, why are you looking for things to worry about? And then I'll say, hey, I know that that's what we've learned over time is to be prepared and to be anxiously cautious in case something happens. But the truth is, we're not living that life anymore. And, we've chosen peace and we've chosen love, and it's here in this moment now. There's nothing wrong in this moment now. So why worry about things that haven't even happened? So this is an example of self-guidance. And this is honestly, doing this practice for myself has really gotten into the root cause of why I've been so stressed and depressed. And now I learn to nurture and take care of myself. And if I'm feeling off, I'll do what I need to for myself. And it does take some self-discipline too. If you know that working out helps you with your anxiety, or going for a run helps you drain that excess energy, but you're too lazy, you have to remind yourself that, I know I'm lazy now, but I know how good it will make me feel after. And it's medicine. It's a form of medicine, but it's also a form of healthy maintenance too. It's all a form of healthy maintenance, right? Spirituality is, new age stuff is, even getting counseling or guidance, or medication. All of these things are healthy additions that really help you go forward, but you also need to do the inner work. And thankfully, shadow work is becoming more popular nowadays. People are starting to understand it. I just also feel, you also don't want to get too stuck into it. A lot of people will start to see shadow work as constantly trying to fix themselves to feel better. But that's you're just forgetting the point at that point. I've done it too. We've all have done it where we're just constantly oh, I don't feel good about this. I have to fix this. And it's just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and just be aware of it. And that's the key. True spirituality is understanding your connection to the fact that you're alive and to source, whatever source is to you. So you have a connection to Mother Earth. There's a symbiosis between you and nature. You have connection to people in your lives and relationships, and you can choose, if you understand yourself and what your needs are, which relationships are healthy for you. So who to keep around and who to, keep out of your energetic field, right? Knowing thyself and your authenticity is the most important thing. If you want to live a meaningful, higher quality of life and you want to understand why you're hurting. But also knowing that you can't fix everything, and you can't always feel good all of the time. And I think that's where we get caught up in we can use things like New Age spirituality as a coping mechanism because we just want to keep feeling good and we want the next best thing and we want to keep raising our vibration and manifesting more and more. And I get this energy of trying to run away from something when I see that happening a lot in the spiritual community. I need more guidance, or, I just need more crystals to meditate with, or I need more of this or that, or now I need to manifest this because now I want this. And it's okay to have all these thoughts and feelings. I'm not demonizing it in any way, but just be aware of it. Anything can be a coping mechanism. And when you constantly need things, instead of just allowing yourself to feel good and where you're at on your journey, just allowing to be, like, happiness comes from that, feeling good comes from that. Where's a good example for this? Okay. Like, I love getting help and guidance for things, right? And just by doing tarot readings for people, I've had some regulars and just wanting answers about everything. And I'm guilty of it too. I used to just spam my tarot cards every day. I want answers for this and that. Well, sometimes you just have to find stillness in the world. Just listen to yourself and see what it's trying to tell you. Instead of manifesting, if you're trying to manifest $1 million all the time, ask yourself, why do you need $1 million? What do you really want out of life? Is it to be rich, or is it to have a sense of freedom and abundance? You know what I mean? So I just think, getting to the truth of who you are and what's going on inside of you, and understanding your connection to that, and knowing that people go through the same things. That's why there's those collective tarot readings on YouTube. They do work because they're so, we are connected as beings, and depending on what vibration we're in, whether it's negative or super positive, or, many of us are going through certain relationship problems, for example. A lot of us, if we actually all recognize each other, and we're all around the world too. So let's say certain people are having breakup problems. There's going to be tons of people around the world that are having breakup problems and going through the same thing and the same realizations. And that is a certain vibration on its own. And as we raise our vibrations, we tend to be around certain people of that vibration. And so that's why a lot of people want to raise it, because they want a good quality of life, and they want, better relationships and things like that. And this is why it's good to be aware of your life. Where was I going with this though? But just realizing that on its own, that we all have these similarities within us. We all have thoughts, feelings, emotions, wounds to carry, wounds to heal, and things like that. And the fact that we're all consciously alive and living on this planet with all these plants that nurture us and things like that, and the seasons that help us grow plants and food to survive. It's all connected. It's all one. We all, and that's spiritual on its own. Doesn't matter how messy or how beautiful it is. It's all interconnected. And to be honest, there's many truths out there, and trying to transcend and fear the chaos. I mean, that's obviously, we're all going to naturally want to do that because society is based off of capitalism and patriarchy. And we all know what happened to the poor witches back in the day. It's all corruption, and it's life is out of balance. It's all masculine energy, and we're finally bringing in feminine energy into the world as to create a balance between science and spirituality, because the two are quite hand in hand. But just understanding that it's all spiritual. The chaotic world that we're living in now is a form of spiritual. And I think it needs to be addressed. And I think people need to start showing themselves and their authentic truths more in the world and bringing about more love, because there's more fear in this world than love right now. And that's again with the imbalance. When there's an imbalance of energies, one of them's going to go to fear. And I'm not interested in trying to transcend this messy world anymore, as many of us are. I'm more about just understanding that this is what it is as to what we've all collectively, consciously created now. And we have that choice to bring about love versus fear in the world. So despite certain conspiracies and certain things going on in the world, I think the best thing to do is come at it from a Taoist approach and find that flow, because the best element that can, lower a flame, because there's a lot of fire going on in this world. The energy is fire. Fire fighting fire creates more fire, but water and fire creates resolution, creates something else, which is, I guess, steam. But we're going to see steam as that extra, that something else, that realization. And I don't think we need to constantly transcend our humanity and transcend our emotions and run away from our emotions. I think we need to find stillness within ourselves and be at peace, and be okay with whatever we're feeling, and just be allowing. I think a lot, like just being allowing of everything that you're going through. If you're hanging out with somebody and you're too afraid to tell them that you're anxious, what does that say about your relationship with that person? We need more authentic people in this world, more authenticity, more openness, more love. And I think that's what we all need to focus on, because I know people that are heavily in the spiritual community and they're so very anxious and fearful towards humanity and society because of the terrible things it's capable of doing to people. And it's really, society is really not good for our emotional and physical needs, or our emotional needs, physical needs, the way we're living. Like, we used to grow up in communities and tribes, and, humans are pack animals. They need each other. So this need to kind of transcend the chaos, I think is more of a coping mechanism than addressing it and bringing about more authenticity and love in the world. And I think that's the most important part, is understanding that there's connection between all of us no matter what. And I think that's what real spirituality is really about. Granted, I do love all the new age stuff. If you need certain things for whatever you're going through, like, by all means, you're on your journey. But even if you're, let's say, a drunk or, just in a really bad place, you're no less of a person than someone who just feels good. You're not less of a person than someone who's, making $1 million. Like, whatever you're feeling, you are whole and complete just as you are. Because what you're feeling is just your authentic truth. And it's good to just listen to yourself and see what you need, All right, guys, I think I'm pretty much going to wrap it up there. But yeah, if you need guidance and you need help and things like that, it's of course okay to have those things. And, I love crystals. I love sage. I just also believe that inner work and acceptance is also just as important. I think healing is a package deal. You can't just have the right crystal or the right psychiatric pill, or just counseling or tarot readings. You got to find out who you are and what your needs are and live in accordance to that. But of course, all of these things are very helpful for healing and growth and transformation. But yeah, find your authentic truth and see what you need out of life to feel good if that's what you're wanting to do. And, just stay true to yourself. All right, guys, I hope you have a good week.